I'm Gilbert Cruz for Time.com, and we're here with Queen Latifah, who stars in the new film based on the best-selling novel, The Secret Life of Bees. She's here to answer some questions from Time readers. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Our first question here is from Andy Cleveland, who comes from Grand Rapids, Michigan. What is your given birth name, and where did Queen Latifah come from?
Oh, wow. My birth name is Dana Owens. Latifah is a nickname that I chose when I was like about 8 years old. My cousin brought over this book with all these Arabic names, and they had meanings to them. And Latifah meant delicate, sensitive, kind, nice. And I felt like that name sort of fit me. I've been kicking around a lot of different things, but I just didn't want to be MC Latifah. So I decided Queen Latifah. I felt like, you know, every woman is a queen and should be treated as such. At least that's what my mom taught me. So I kind of just connected the two. I ran it past my boys. They liked it, and so I kept it.
Moniki Muhammad from Sendai, Japan wants to know if you're ever, that's his exact question, going to make another rap album.
Absolutely, and it's done. It should be coming out in January. All of the kind of elements that people have heard from me in the past, those are familiar with my music, just very diverse, but very, very modern, very futuristic.
What's it called?
All Hail the Queen Part 2.
Nice. Nice. How has the hip-hop industry changed since you were in it? And in your opinion, has it been a good or a bad change?
The major change is sort of the internet. It's kind of brought music back to where it was when I first started, which was much more independent. You can create your own identity and become someone without having to have a major record label. I think right now is a great time in hip-hop, first of all, because I think, you know, people got the message when Nas said hip-hop is dead. It was just like there was a lack of creativity. Many of us as rappers, we come from inner cities. We grew up kind of in the ghetto. So in growing up in an inner city, you tend to encounter a lot of things. Crime is one of the things you tend to encounter at a young age. But we know these stories. So when we start talking about these same stories over and over and over and over without any kind of musical creativity, different sounds that you use, melodies you might use, or the beats just sound unique, it's boring. It's boring. It's like hearing the same story over and over, but not told in an interesting way. That was what hip-hop was suffering from, a bad case of monotony.
Is there a glass ceiling for women of color in Hollywood right now? And if there is, what can be done to eliminate it?
I mean, you know, there's always an attempt to put a glass ceiling on a woman in general, but I think networking is the key. It's about working together. It's about connecting with people who don't look at you with limits. Can I say do I have a glass ceiling? I don't think so. Not that I feel. I know usually whatever I put my mind to, you know, my team and I, we're able to accomplish.
Has there never been a point where you have felt frustration, sort of, in Hollywood? I'm sure maybe it was earlier in your career.
Absolutely, but you know what? You run into stupid people everywhere, unfortunately. Doesn't matter if it's the cab driver who doesn't want to stop for you, or, you know, or go past 110th Street, or, you know, if it's some executive who somehow managed to become in a position of power to green light movies, who has no clue. I mean, you know, some things are just timing and determination and perseverance.
Are you reluctant to be touted as a role model for women with, quote, real bodies?
I'm thankful to be a role model for women with real bodies, if you will. I've had a guy who drove me in his limousine tell me, you know, his 12-year-old daughter has a beautiful voice and she was afraid to sing, and she would cry because her classmates would tease her and tell her she's never going to make it, she can't do this. And by looking at me, she started singing again, and she's like, if Queen Latifah can do it, I can do it, because she looked more like me. And because she had a Queen Latifah to look at, it inspired her to stay on her path, follow her dreams. So I think it's been a great thing. I feel good about how I've been able to impact people's lives.
Vanessa Bravo from Gainesville, Florida asks, what is the thing that you miss the most from when you were not famous?
I miss coming to New York City and just being whoever I wanted to be on that particular day. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to be a hip-hop head and go to a club, Latin Quarters or somewhere, I could go there, you know. If I wanted to go to the Village and just buy something avant-garde and just, you know, hang out with all these gay kids in Washington Square Park, I could do that. If I wanted to go a little further into the park and hang out with the acrobats, you know, who were flipping, I could do that. There was like all these different me's that I could be. Now it's like, you know, everybody kind of knows my face. So, you know, you can't just do whatever you want to do anywhere. You know, can't pass out and fall out drunk on the ground somewhere after leaving the club like, you know, speaking gobbledygook, because guess what? Somebody's got a camera phone and that's Queen Latifah and it's on YouTube in like 20 seconds. So unfortunately, that's the world I live in now. But people do recognize me. They may not even be able to speak English and they be like, taxi. You know what I mean? I never knew Taxi was like such a popular movie, but Mexico, Italy, you know, Steve Martin. Yeah, that was me. You know, it's funny, but hey, you know, what are you gonna do? This is what we do it for, to get it out there.